Amsterdam, August of 1889. A 20-year-old from Prussia, almost unknown outside Germany, sits down at his very first great tournament. His name is Emanuel Lasker, and in 5 years he will be champion of the world and hold that crown for 27 years, longer than anyone before or since. But not yet. Tonight he is only a young man at the start of everything, with something to prove. Across the board sits Johann Hermann Bauer, an Austrian master, seasoned and steady. What happens between them will be remembered for a single daring idea. Lasker will give away both of his bishops, one after the other, each a gift with a hidden price, to tear open the pawns sheltering the Black King. The pattern was so pure it outlived the game. A century later, Nimzowitsch, Miles and Judith Polgar would each play their own version of it. When the tournament ended, Lasker stood second of 9 players, a single point behind the winner, Amos Byrne. Bauer finished 6th. But the standings are not why we remember Amsterdam. We remember it for 2 bishops and the storm they left behind. So close your eyes and let the board rise up in the dark, the pieces set, the young Lasker with the white men, and everything still to come. White begins without a fuss. A single pawn steps from f2 to f4. It is bird's opening, a flank move, a slow plan to press one day on the king side. Black answers in the center. The queen's pawn goes to d5, planting a flag. White makes a modest little move, a pawn to e3, opening a lane for the light bishop. Black develops a knight from g8 to f6, its eyes on the center. Another small step from white, a pawn to b3. It clears the way for the dark bishop to breathe along the long diagonal. Black plays a pawn to e6, a tidy little roof for the pieces behind it. Now the bishop comes. From c1, it settles onto b2. See that dark bishop on b2? It stares down a long open road aimed toward the far corner where the Black King will live. Black answers in kind. The dark bishop steps to e7. White brings out the other bishop, the light one, to d3. And now it too leans toward the king side. d3, pointed like a slow arrow at h7. 2 bishops then, one dark, one light, both tilted toward the same little corner. Black plays a pawn to b6, making a window for his own bishop. White develops a knight from b1 to c3. Black's light bishop slides out to b7, and now the 2 long diagonals face each other like mirrors. White's last minor piece joins in the knight from g1 to f3. Black brings his second knight from b8 to d7, an unhurried developing move. White castles kingside. The king tucks to g1. The rook swings to f1. Black castles 2. His king settles on g8 behind 3 pawns, f7, g7, h7. Let both sides rest before you for a moment. White's bishops rake toward the Black King, the dark one from b2, the light one from d3. Black is solid and almost symmetrical, every piece out, the king housed behind an unbroken row of pawns. Nothing looks amiss. That is exactly the danger. White shifts a knight, without hurry, from c3 back to e2. It looks like a retreat. It is really a journey. The knight is traveling toward the kingside. Black strikes into the center, a pawn to c5, taking space. White's knight walks on from e2 to g3. From g3 it eyes 2 tender squares by the Black King, f5 and h5. Black lifts his queen to c7, joining his bishop on the long diagonal. Together, queen and bishop aim down that road at White's own king, an answering ambition. Now White plants a knight in the very heart of the board, from f3 to e5. A proud horse on e5, deep in black's half, touching the squares around his king. Black decides to be rid of it. His knight from d7 takes on e5. And here, soft as it seems, is the first misstep. Modern analysis prefers a quiet pawn to g6 instead, shoring up the kingside, keeping the diagonals shut. By trading on e5, Black opens lines he cannot really afford to open. White recaptures. The dark bishop sweeps up from b2 to e5. Now that bishop sits in the center on e5, glaring straight at the pawn on g7, and the king behind it. A colder, modern eye would have taken with the pawn f4 onto e5, a small refinement. But the bishop on e5 is a fearsome thing, and the attack is already stirring. Black's queen slides to c6, still trained down the long diagonal toward White's king. White calmly lifts his queen to e2, drawing his forces together, in no hurry at all. Black plays a pawn to a6, a slow, small move out on the far wing. It is too slow. Again, the quiet g6 was the call, to blunt what is coming. For what is coming is only a move away. Hold the whole board in the dark now. Black's king sits on g8. Before it, the pawns on f7, g7 and h7, the wall. But look what leans on that wall. White's light bishop on d3, aimed at h7. His dark bishop on e5, aimed at g7. His queen on e2, ready to swing across. His knight on g3, poised to spring to h5. Two bishops, a queen, a knight, all turned toward one narrow corner. Black has a knight on f6. It alone guards both h7 and h5, the one defender that matters. White's whole task is to remove it. The knight springs from g3 to h5. It offers itself right beside the black king's pawns, attacking the guardian on f6. This is the finest move of the game so far, and black should let it be. The cool reply was a pawn thrust in the center, d5 to d4, striking back before the blow could land. Instead, black reaches out and takes it. The knight from f6 captures on h5. And with that, the guardian of h7 has walked away from its post. Now it begins. White's light bishop strikes. It captures the pawn on h7 with check. The first bishop simply given away right on the king's doorstep. The king must take it. Nothing else answers the check. The king captures on h7. Now the black king stands in the open air on h7, its pawn cover torn away. White's queen leaps in from e2 all the way to h5 with check. It lands on the very square where the knight was just taken and glares at the naked king. The king hurries home, back to g8. For a single heartbeat, it seems the danger has passed. The king is tucked away once more. But there is a second bishop. White's dark bishop takes the last pawn of the shield. It captures on g7. The second bishop offered up just like the first, prizing open the final door. If the king refuses it, the bishop simply stays, and the net draws tight with the rook still to come. So the king takes again. From g8 it captures on g7. Now the black king stands utterly bare on g7, out in the open field. Both bishops are gone, but both sheltering pawns went with them. Two bishops sacrificed, one after the other. This is the pattern that would carry Lasker's name. And White has not gambled. He has seen every step of it. The queen swings down with check from h5 to g4. From g4 it looks straight up the open file at the king on g7. The king has to move. It steps to h7, back to the very edge. See how far it has been driven from g8 to h7, home to g7, and out to h7 again. It stands alone. No pawns before it, no piece beside it that can save it. And now the quiet move, the one that makes the whole combination breathe. White lifts his rook. From f1 it rises to f3. No check, no capture. Only a rook, climbing, meaning to swing across toward the file where the king waits. The threat is simple and dreadful. The rook joins the queen, and the lone king cannot answer it. Black must find something, anything, to meet the storm now gathering on the third rank. The king stripped bare on h7, reaches for a pawn and pushes it to e5. It is a search for air, a little shelter, a line open for the dark bishop, a hope of untangling. Remember where the account stands. Black holds two bishops that white does not. But those bishops were bought with the roof over the king's head, and white's queen already sits on g4, wide awake. One side is richer in pieces, the other is about to prove that a king in the open outweighs them all. White lifts the rook from f3 and slides it up to h3. Check. The rook stares straight up the open h-file at the king on h7. Now feel the king's little world close in. Every square around it is watched. The queen on g4 owns the whole g-file. g6, g7, g8, all of them forbidden. The king cannot slip sideways, and it cannot stay on the file the rook now commands. Only one kind of move is left. Something must throw itself into the gap. So the black queen comes all the way home, from c6 to h6, into the breach to block the check. It is the one square that answers, and it is a square where the queen can be taken. White takes it, the rook captures on h6, check once more. The whole rook laid down plainly for the queen. The king has no choice but to reach out and take the rook on h6. Count the trade in the dark. White gave a rook and won the queen. The two bishops flung at this king a few moves ago left white poorer for a while. Now the debt is called in, and it is called in with interest. Here comes the quiet knife. The white queen glides from g4 to d7. Along the 7th rank she takes aim at the bishop marooned on b7. It has no honest defender. The little fork is simple, and it is fatal. Black slides the other bishop from e7 to f6, hunting for some life on the long, dark diagonal. But it does nothing at all for its friend on b7. So white gathers that bishop in. The queen captures on b7. Now weigh the two sides. White has a queen and a rook. Black has two rooks and a single bishop. The whole storm, two bishops, then a rook, has paid for itself and left white ahead. The black king, stranded out on h6, turns and walks back toward home to g7. Let your eyes settle over the whole board for a breath. White's king rests easy on g1, its pawns almost untouched, the wall unbroken. The white queen roams deep on b7, the last rook still waits on a1, longing for the open f-file. Black has rooks on a8 and f8, a bishop on f6, and pawns scattered across a6, b6, c5, d5, e5 and f7. The counting of pieces almost stays level, but the black king stands in the wind, and that is the whole story. White wakes the sleeping rook from a1, it swings to f1, onto the open file. A second attacker leans down toward f7, and the king behind it. Black's rook slides from a8 to b8, prodding at the queen. She simply steps back to d7, unbothered, still raking that 7th rank. Black's other rook lifts to d8, trying to shoulder her away. The queen swings out to g4, and again it is check. The king tucks itself to f8, hiding behind its own pawns. Now white pries the position open. The f4 pawn captures on e5. A fresh file, a fresh diagonal, every road toward the black king grows wider. Black's bishop drops back from f6 to g7 to shore up the dark squares by the king. White pushes the pawn onward to e6, a thorn driven right into the king's doorway. It stabs at f7 and it cramps everything black would love to untangle. Black's rook slides to b7, offering a trade of queens, hoping to smother the fire. But white will not trade, and lands the queen on g6 instead. Now the threats draw to a single point. The queen eyes g7 and f7, and mate is in the air. Black must throw up a wall. The pawn steps from f7 to f6, blocking the deadly diagonal. Look closely now, before the last blow falls. See the black king's shelter, the king on f8, the bishop on g7, a fresh pawn on f6, and white's own pawn jammed on e6. For one heartbeat, it looks like a wall that might hold. White's queen sits on g6, the rook waits on f1, both trained on that single square. And white breaks the wall. The rook crashes down onto f6, taking the pawn. Check. A rook given up again. The second time in this game one is simply offered whole. It rips away the last thing the king had to hide behind. The bishop has to take, capturing on f6. And the queen follows her rook straight in. She captures on f6. Check. Now the king stands utterly alone, with nothing left in front of it. It flees to e8. The queen swings across to the far corner, to h8. Check. She is herding it now, driving the king out into the open field. The king steps to e7. The queen slides down to g7. Check again. And the king reaches out and takes the pawn on e6, the very thorn that had tormented it. For one breath it walks free in the center, only one. Because the queen now sweeps all the way across to b7 and takes the rook. That was the meaning of the whole dance of checks. They herded the king aside so the rook would fall undefended. Now the game is settled past any argument. White holds a queen, a rook, and a board full of pawns. Black has one lonely rook, a few pawns, and a king lost in the middle. Black lifts the last rook to d6, doing the little that can still be done. White's queen gathers another pawn on a6. She feeds calmly now, in no hurry whatsoever. Black pushes her pawn to d4, one last gesture toward the center. White's pawn takes on d4. Black recaptures, a pawn back to d4. And white simply makes a breath of air for its own king. The pawn steps to h4. No hurry, no risk. Tidy the house before the door is closed. Black's lone pawn lunges to d3, hoping against all hope. And the queen turns and swallows it on d3. The last flicker of counterplay is gone. From here there is nothing left to play for, and nothing left to fear. Queen and rook and pawns will do as they please. The black king has no shelter left to find. Yet the game was truly written far earlier, back at the king's door, when two bishops were given away without a second thought. A young Emanuel Lasker, not yet the champion he would one day become, had seen the whole picture at once. The offer and the second offer, and the long, quiet harvest that comes after. It became the model for a pattern the game would remember by name. The two bishops laid down together to tear a sleeping king from its home. Everything you have followed since was only the patient gathering of what that single idea had already won. So let the pieces stand exactly where they are. The black king adrift in the center, the white queen at rest on d3, the whole board going still. It is finished, let it rest. Good night. And there the board goes still. The last piece has found its square, and nothing more will move tonight. Two players who sat down long ago, and a game that outlived them both. Let the squares soften now, black and white blurring into one grey field. The kings, the pawns, the long diagonals, all of it loosening, going dim. There is nothing left for you to follow. It is all resolved, all quiet. Let the board dissolve into the dark, the way a thought dissolves near sleep. You can let it go, it will keep until morning. Rest now. Good night.